Hello, radiant Leo soul, the bold heart of the Zodiac. There is something happening beneath the surface today, and you can feel it. You may not be able to explain it, but you know it. And I'm here to tell you you're absolutely right. A silent shift is moving around you this July 25th. It's not loud. It's not chaotic. But it's real. And it's serious. It might come through a strange message, an offhand comment, a dream that won't leave you, or that quiet unease in your gut that keeps whispering, something's not right. If you've been drawn to this video today, please understand this is not random. You didn't stumble here by accident. You followed the voice of your own inner knowing. This reading has reached you because the universe is placing a mirror in front of you, not to scare you, but to wake you. Leo, you have the fire of a leader, the intuition of a warrior, and the spirit of a creator. But even the brightest flames flicker when unseen winds pass by. Today, I ask you to pause, to breathe, and to listen not just to this video, but to yourself. Because the real danger right now isn't what's happening outside of you. It's what you're ignoring inside. Maybe you've been pretending not to notice the emotional distance in a relationship. Maybe you've brushed off that tiny feeling telling you someone isn't who they say they are. Maybe you're overextending yourself, giving too much, hiding your own exhaustion behind a powerful smile. Maybe your body has been begging for rest, but you keep pushing. Whatever it is, Leo, the shift is already happening. And you already know it. This isn't a message of fear. It's a message of empowerment. Because the universe isn't just warning you, it's also arming you. With clarity. With foresight. With the exact moment you need to change direction. Now, before we dive deep into your tarot messages, astrological energies, and the cosmic blueprint of this day, let me take a moment to say this. Thank you. Thank you for being here. For every like, every comment, every new subscriber who chooses to walk this path with eternal mindfulness, you are helping to build a space where light meets truth. Your presence makes this community a sanctuary. And your engagement allows these soul-led messages to continue reaching those who need them most. But don't just watch. Participate. If this message already resonates with something inside you, if your body, your dreams, or your spirit have been trying to tell you something lately, leave a comment right now saying, "I'm listening to my inner voice." That's not just a comment. That's a declaration. A signal to the universe that you're awake and ready. And stay with me, Leo, because by the end of this video, what's hidden will be revealed. What's unclear will begin to make sense. And you'll walk away not only with deeper clarity, but with a renewed sense of power to protect your energy and own your destiny. Let's begin. As the energy of July 25th unfolds, you may notice a strange friction that doesn't quite have a name. It lingers in the pauses between your thoughts, hides behind certain glances from people you thought you knew, and echoes through dreams that seem too vivid to be random. The planetary alignment today, the Sun in Leo opposing the Moon, creates a powerful inner split, a tug-of-war between clarity and confusion, between who you are at your core and the emotional noise that surrounds you. This opposition illuminates the space between heart and mind. Leo, ruled by the Sun, thrives on self-expression, certainty, and bold movement. The Moon, however, is subtle and shifting, tied to memories, moods, and quiet emotional truths. When these two celestial forces pull in opposite directions, they stir up a unique internal storm. You might find yourself questioning people you usually trust, or doubting choices you were so sure about only days ago. There's a growing tension between what you want to believe and what your body, your dreams, your instincts are trying to whisper to you. This isn't about paranoia. It's about perception. You're being invited to refine the way you listen, not just to words, but to the unsaid. Think of today as a mirror that doesn't reflect your face, but your frequency. And frequency, after all, never lies. When something or someone is no longer in alignment with your inner truth, you feel it before you see it. That subtle discomfort, that flicker of off energy, is not weakness or overthinking. It's insight. Quiet, gentle, and often inconvenient. But insight, nonetheless. In teachings that value present awareness, it's said that clarity doesn't come from controlling what's outside but from watching closely what arises within. When we try to force stillness by silencing the discomfort, we suppress the wisdom hidden in it. But when we observe the waves of tension without judgment, we begin to recognize their patterns. Today is about that kind of recognition. This day might not bring obvious chaos. In fact, what makes it so potent is its silence. The danger isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's subtle, the moment you agree to something that doesn't feel quite right, the way you dismiss a repeated dream as nonsense, the quick rationalization you make to excuse someone's strange behavior. That's the kind of energy that surrounds you now. And that's why your intuition, your deep, wordless knowing, is rising to the surface. So if you've been feeling uneasy for no clear reason, you're not unraveling. You're awakening. Your perception is expanding beyond the surface of things. That random thought you had earlier? That conversation that left you with a strange chill? That vivid image in last night's dream? These are not loose threads. They're signs. Threads pulling you toward a truth you're meant to notice, but only if you stay still enough, quiet enough, to feel it. There is a lesson in the discomfort. When you stop running from what feels off, you give it permission to reveal what it really is. This doesn't mean jumping to conclusions, it means standing still and allowing what's real to rise. And when it does, you will know. Because your inner compass, though often underestimated, was never broken. It's just been waiting for you to remember how to read it. Today is not a warning of doom. It is a nudge. A nudge from your deeper self to trust the signals that don't come in words. To honor the knowledge that moves through your breath, your body, your stillness. To let the unseen guide you toward what's true and away from what's already fading. Sometimes the heart tries to stay quiet, even when it's screaming. And Leo, you know this better than most because yours is a heart that feels deeply, but carries its pain with dignity. You were taught to be strong, to be the light in every room, the protector in every space. But strength doesn't mean silence. And today, something inside you is beginning to resist that silence. There's a part of you that can no longer pretend everything's fine, when the truth is something essential feels missing. You may have given love freely with all the warmth, loyalty, and passion that only a Leo can give, but lately, it feels like your generosity has gone unnoticed, or worse, unreciprocated. You might find yourself asking quietly, is this really love? Or is this just a habit of giving until I'm empty? When the scale of emotional exchange tips too far in one direction, the bond begins to strain and the soul starts to ache in silence. In relationships, this moment signals a subtle turning point. You may be dealing with someone who's emotionally distant, evasive, or simply not present anymore. You sense it not because of what they say, but because of what they withhold, the pauses in conversation, the hollow answers, the growing distance between words. When the tarot card Judgment appears, it doesn't bring punishment. It brings revelation. This is the moment when everything you've avoided, excused, or minimized becomes too clear to ignore. Something long buried is surfacing now, perhaps within them, or perhaps within you. But either way, the mirror is here. If you've been biting your tongue, holding back your truth just to keep the peace, this is your invitation to speak. To not wait for someone else to guess how you feel. To not carry the burden of clarity for both people. Because healing can only begin once truth is allowed to breathe. And in any sacred connection, romantic or otherwise, truth is love's oxygen. For those who are single, there's a different kind of reckoning happening. A new presence may be drawing near, someone who appears kind, magnetic, possibly even familiar on a soul level. But here's the deeper invitation. Are you open to love because it feels aligned, or because loneliness has become too loud? Not every connection is meant to complete you. Some are meant to test you. And the real discernment lies in recognizing the difference. In reflective traditions, there's an understanding that every emotional attachment either expands your awareness or contracts your freedom. Love, when rooted in presence and clarity, liberates. But attachment born from avoidance of loneliness, of stillness, of looking inward binds us to illusions that feel warm, but drain us over time. This is not a call to reject love. It's a call to love yourself enough to ask better questions. To pause before you surrender your emotional body to someone else's rhythm. To honor that quiet voice inside you that says, "This time, I choose differently." You don't need to be rescued. You don't need to prove you're worthy of love. You don't need to settle for being someone's afterthought. You are the sun, and the right soul will never ask you to dim. So if lately you felt alone even while lying beside someone, or if you're beginning to realize that what you crave is not a partner, but peace, then you are already awakening. And if any part of this feels like your story, I invite you to say so aloud, not just for me, but for yourself. Leave a comment to affirm it. Because when we name our truth, we return to our center. And from that center, Leo, everything becomes clear. After everything your heart has been processing, the focus naturally shifts now to the world outside, to your resources, your work, your security. And yet, the same undercurrent of subtle tension remains. It moves differently here, though. Not through emotions or memory, but through decision-making. Through contracts, choices, and the quiet, invisible threads of power that bind people to outcomes sometimes before they even realize what they've agreed to. The planetary alignment of today asks you to pause before you reach for the pen, the wallet, or the handshake. Because not every opportunity is what it seems. Not every offer is made with pure intent. When the magician appears in a reading, it confirms that you already possess the talents and tools to shape your own path. But paired with the Seven of Pentacles, we're reminded that just because you can act doesn't mean you should rush. These cards together tell a story of potential powerful, raw, and ready but still ripening. The fruit is growing, but it hasn't fully formed. The risk now isn't a lack of ability, it's a lack of patience. A decision made out of urgency or flattery might seem small in the moment, but its consequences could echo far beyond what you see today. You may be approached with a proposal that seems perfect on the surface. A job, a business collaboration, or even just someone offering financial help that feels too timely to be random. And while some gifts are sincere, others are wrapped in strings, expectations, control, or subtle manipulation. This moment asks you not to turn cynical, but to turn inward. Check in with your body. How does this offer feel in your chest, your gut, your breath? If something tightens, if your energy suddenly dips, if a yes comes too fast and too easy, these are signals worth listening to. It is often said that the most dangerous illusions are the ones that promise ease without alignment. When someone says, "This will solve everything," you must ask, at what cost? Because real value in finances, work, or self-worth is never built overnight. It is cultivated with clarity, refined through discipline, and held together by deep internal trust. The law of attraction does not respond to urgency. It responds to focus, to vibration, to your ability to act from a place of inner fullness rather than fear of missing out. This is why today is such a sacred moment. You are being asked to reclaim your choices. Not from anyone else, but from the stories that say you're running out of time. From the patterns that tell you to prove your worth by saying yes to everything. The truth is, Leo, some of your greatest success will come not from the doors you run through, but from the ones you close gently, respectfully, because you know they're not for you. In one tradition of stillness practice, it's said that wisdom is knowing the right moment, not just the right answer. That a mind trained to watch its impulses is far more powerful than one trained to obey them. So take a breath before you sign. Reread the fine print. Delay the answer. Return to your list of goals for the year, and write down what still matters most. Not what you think will impress others. What will make you feel proud when no one is watching? If you feel called, write those intentions down today. Light a black candle, a symbol not of darkness, but of depth, protection, and grounded vision. You are not in a race. Your abundance is not hiding. It is already orbiting you, waiting for the moment when your clarity becomes magnetic. And that moment begins when you remember, you don't chase what's meant for you, you choose it, wisely. By now, you may have noticed that something within you feels off, not dramatically, not in a way others can see, but in a way that only you can feel. You wake up tired, though you've slept. You carry a sense of heaviness without any specific reason. There's a fog over your clarity, a shortness in your breath when nothing has startled you. And at moments, emotions seem to rise like a wave, too fast and too high, surprising even you. But none of this means you're broken. It means your system is sending you signals not to punish you, but to protect you. The body is not just a container for your experiences. It is the first witness to every unresolved feeling, every repressed word, every moment you said, "I'm fine," when you weren't. While the mind may convince you to keep moving, keep producing, keep pleasing, the body keeps the score in silence until it can't. This is what we're seeing now. Your nervous system, your breath, your digestion, your ability to concentrate, they are all speaking at once, asking for a different kind of attention. Not the kind that fixes or forces, but the kind that listens. In astrology, when Leo energy is challenged or under pressure, it tends to respond in two ways: performing harder or retreating completely. But neither of those responses truly nourish what your body needs today. You don't need to perform. You don't need to disappear. What you need is pause. Stillness. Presence with your physical form, not as a task to master, but as a home to return to. It's easy to forget how much energy the body spends on keeping you functional. But functionality is not the same as thriving. Many people function for years in quiet depletion, normalizing pain, fatigue, and emotional volatility as if they were just part of life. But they're not. They are invitations. They are the knock at the door before the storm. And when you slow down enough to hear them, truly hear, something begins to soften. Something begins to heal. There's a teaching that says the body is the garden, and awareness is the gardener. You cannot force a flower to bloom by shouting at it. You water it. You remove what chokes it. You give it sunlight, rest, and time. And then, almost quietly, it opens. This is your task now, not to override your exhaustion, but to understand what it's asking for. Not to suppress your mood swings, but to trace them gently back to what hasn't been spoken. One of the most practical yet powerful things you can do today is to create small rituals of reconnection. Breathe deeply 3 full breaths before speaking when emotions rise. Eat what soothes your system: leafy greens, seeds, whole grains. Take a walk not to burn calories, but to meet the rhythm of your breath again. Avoid caffeine if your mind is racing. Avoid sugar if your energy spikes and crashes. And just for today, avoid scrolling through things that provoke fear or comparison. Choose quiet. Choose rhythm. Choose nourishment. These actions may seem small, but they're sacred. They communicate to your body that it is safe to relax, safe to release, safe to trust you again. Write it down if you feel called to. I choose to return to my body with love. And say it like you mean it. Because healing doesn't require you to be perfect, only to be willing. And once you choose to return, even just a little, the body remembers. The breath deepens. And the fog begins to lift. There are moments when the unseen begins to take shape, not through lightning strikes or loud revelations, but through quiet signs, subtle nudges, and inner clarity that can no longer be ignored. The messages coming through today are not new, they've been whispering for some time. But now, they arrive with form. Through cards. Through energy. Through truth. When the Judgment card emerges, it signals a moment of awakening, not the kind that arrives in chaos, but the kind that asks for stillness and honesty. This card doesn't punish. It mirrors. It brings to light what has long been buried beneath avoidance, fear, or the belief that maybe it's not that serious. But it is. And you know it. You felt it. This is the moment when pretending no longer serves you. The moment when a choice must be made, to keep carrying the weight of an outdated story, or to finally lay it down and move forward, lighter and realer than ever before. Temperance arrives to help you do just that, but not with force. With balance. with intention. With a quiet invitation to hold both fire and water in your hands without letting either spill over. Emotions may rise. Anger may flash. Or maybe your heart just feels too full. This card reminds you that you are not here to suppress or explode. You are here to integrate. To sit between impulse and hesitation, and allow a deeper wisdom to speak. You are being asked to respond rather than react, to observe your emotions like clouds rather than storms. Then comes the Three of Cups, a reminder that connection heals. Not all connection, but the right one. A shared laugh, an unexpected message, or a reunion that arrives when you least expect it. This card speaks to the joy that returns when authenticity is present. It tells you that not everyone is here to drain you, some are meant to help you remember your joy. But joy only returns when space is made for it. So clearing out false loyalty, heavy commitments, or outdated emotional ties isn't just about boundaries, it's about creating room for celebration. And then there is the Magician. Perhaps the most empowering presence in your spread today. It stands not as a rescuer, but as a reflection. A reminder that nothing, absolutely nothing, is outside of you. Not clarity. Not direction. Not worth. This card whispers, you are not waiting for a sign. You are the sign. You hold the tools. The voice. The discernment. The boundaries. The initiation. You do not need to ask permission to protect your energy. You only need to remember that it's yours to begin with. The real warning, however, comes between the cards. It comes through the intuitive tension that lingers beneath opportunities that feel too easy, relationships that feel almost right, or delays that seem like bad timing. If someone is pulling on your empathy in a way that feels manipulative, if a contract arrives that skips the details, if something inside you says, pause, even when the world says, go, believe it. Not because you're afraid, but because you're learning to trust the subtler language of truth. Today, write down your greatest fear, not to dwell in it, but to meet it with presence. Look at it under the light of logic, clarity, and compassion. See what it's asking you to notice. And from that noticing, choose your next step with intention. Be quietly strategic. Speak less. Listen more. Preserve your plans. Hold your boundaries gently, but without apology. Let your color today be black metallic, a symbol of depth, of sacred armor, of unshakable energy. Let your numbers 6 and 55 guide you into inner alignment. Know that the work you do behind the scenes, in silence, in stillness, is the kind that changes everything. Because today isn't about reacting. It's about remembering. And remembering is the first step to reclaiming your power. Leo, you've walked with me through the undercurrents of this day, through silent shifts, rising intuition, and the truths that can no longer be softened or delayed. And now, as we gently close this space together, I want to remind you of something that may have been forgotten in all your strength. You are not here to carry everything alone. You are not here to prove your worth through endurance. You are here to awaken to your own wisdom, to listen to what you already know, and to choose deliberately, quietly, and powerfully what serves your energy, your peace, and your becoming. You don't need a cosmic permission slip to trust what you feel. You don't need to wait for others to validate your decision to walk away, to slow down, or to draw a line. The truth is, the most radical thing you can do today is not fight but pause. Not react but reflect. Because when you choose to respond from clarity, you become the cause rather than the consequence. You become the leader of your own energy field, and from there, everything begins to recalibrate. If your body spoke to you today, will you listen? If your heart ached in silence, will you offer it space to breathe? If your intuition whispered, "This isn't right," will you honor it with action? These aren't questions to scare you. They are invitations. And I believe you already have the answers. Not because you've mastered something but because you've remembered who you are beneath the noise. So ask yourself, what am I still saying yes to that drains me? What am I afraid to release because I think it defines me? And what would change if, just for today, I trusted myself a little more than I fear the unknown? This is your moment to come back to center, not to fix everything, but to realign. To reset. To reclaim your time, your peace, and your quiet power. Even the smallest shift in awareness, when chosen consciously, can ripple outward and rewrite everything. You don't need to leap forward. You just need to take one step, the honest one. And if today's message spoke to something deep within you, if something you heard mirrored your own inner knowing, I invite you to share it. Write in the comments, "I choose to protect my energy," or "I'm no longer being led astray." Not for the algorithm but for your own declaration. Because when we speak truth into space, we open the door for transformation to walk in. Thank you for being here with me, for your presence, your attention, and your willingness to feel more deeply than most. Your support, every like, every comment, every quiet moment spent with this message helps eternal mindfulness continue to be a place of refuge, truth, and awakening for those on the path. And if you haven't already, I invite you to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the insight that might arrive exactly when you need it most. You are not broken. You are not behind. And you are not lost. You are simply remembering, and that is more than enough. Keep going, Leo. The future is not waiting. It's already forming every time you choose yourself.